Welcome, everyone. This is the Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff YouTube channel, and this live stream specifically is called Doctor's Orders. We are on episode 29. Nick, that kind of hit me today. 29 weeks, never missing. We are well past a half year of just knocking these out and enjoying them every week. So with that thought, first and foremost, and we'll get to our guest today, but Nick, how you doing and how'd that hit you?
Dude, doing great. And I mean, it's just like when we get to the end of these hours that I have no clue that it's been an hour.
Yeah.
I feel like at the end of 29 episodes, I have zero concept that it's been 29 episodes. It doesn't, when you do a lot of work, it feels like a lot of work, but when you go have like a vacation or go do something else, it seems like no time at all.
Right.
I think that's kind of how this has gone. It doesn't feel like work. So it just doesn't seem like we've been doing it that long.
For sure. And
Just
you
awesome.
guys, right, we do have a special episode today. This is something brand new for this channel. So if you guys are excited now or in the future, if you're watching this on replay, please hit that thumbs up on YouTube. And of course, if you want to share this, that is amazing. You don't know who could bring in to find this company in this community. Today, I would like to welcome someone that I've known for I don't know exactly how long. I would say close to 5 years now, though. And this is Mr. Ryan M., who we'll get to know and get the introduction. But Ryan, how you doing?
Living large, man. Yeah, thank you guys so much for the opportunity. This is super cool. What's up, chat? This is fun to be on the other side. This is cool.
Awesome.
Very cool, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, for sure. And this is a good day for me too as well. A lot of you guys know my wife Sam has been battling some thyroid stuff. She is at her appointment right now, like literally as we speak. So if you ever see me look down, I'm checking for updates on essentially. Hopefully today we have some updates and some answers for the path forward. I think it's going to be good news. We got the people that we wanted. And then the second thing, let alone that she's there, it's also our 9th anniversary today. So,
man,
yeah,
happy anniversary! Congratulations,
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yep, 9 years today, like 13 living together, but nine married. So, pretty excited. It should
awesome.
be hopefully a great day.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
good things
absolutely.
to come.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for sure for some at least progress on going towards some answers.
Yes. That and I think we will. That's the plan. That's the goal. That's the hope right now. So we'll see what comes forward.
Good.
But essentially, you guys, we wanted to do something a little bit different. Hopefully you've noticed and appreciated that on the stream, we try to have different styles of episodes. Go on a tour of the facility, bring a barber in the studio, talk about specific aspects of the company, talk about general aspects of business. Well, today we wanted to bring on our first virtual guest, and this is someone that I really wanted to bring as a part of the show because Ryan is a great guy. I've got a chance to know him over the years, but also he's had a vast experience in this beard product industry that he'll talk about with many companies, many different products ranging from different climates and different experiences. And he's just really kind of fallen in love with Dr. Nick's. And also, I just wanted for you guys to kind of get to know someone. And then in the future, who knows what doors that will open up where we can get to know some of you guys that are out there in the chat, which I think is going to be pretty awesome. So to begin, Ryan, I know it's not always the easiest thing to do, but if you could, go ahead and introduce yourself and chat, of course, say hello out there. But introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do for a living? What should people know about Ryan? Where do you live? Any of that kind of information.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Yeah, this is cool. Again, I think I go back to Nick. Remember your one of your first live streams with Dan, you were like, oh, man, I don't get nervous very often, but I find myself a little nervous right now.
Yeah. Don't worry. Give it 10 minutes. You'll get so distracted that you'll have no idea how you feel.
Yeah, I'm going to ease in here. But, I currently reside in Arizona. I am originally from New York, which is, I think, what Dan was alluding to with different climates and things like that. So I'll hit on that. Yep. And then I'm a high school special education teacher. I've been doing that for quite some time now. And love it. So I think that's how we originally connected, Dan, just as a fellow teacher. And it was about 5 years ago. And I'm the crazy guy that they constantly reference who bought 8 Yule trees a little bit ago. I'm that dude.
And just so everyone knows, that wasn't the price of admission or anything for this. All right.
Yeah.
We like Ryan for a lot of reasons. That happens to be one of them.
And now that they're gone, no one is thinking you're crazy with all the people that message like, dude, do you happen to have a Yule tree sitting outside or anything? It's so good.
I can't wait to talk about that. Can't
Yeah,
wait.
don't give out your email address because people are going to try to buy them from you.
No. Yeah, no. Those are all mine. But aside from that, yeah, I've been a big supporter of Dan. I love Dan's channel. He is the coolest dude. And I remember about 2018 is when we first kind of connected, and I've started this kind of process. So I've been in the beard world for a little while now. And I'm excited to share some insight, perhaps, about what I love about Dr. Nix and so on.
For sure. And I actually remember another pine scent that we connected on very early in the game for a company that I don't believe is around anymore. But I remember that you loved that scent. I loved it, and it kind of resonated with your lifestyle and what you did. And also, one thing I'll add in on there is that at least before, and I'm sure you still dabble with it, Ryan was really into endurance sports, correct? Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've been a distance runner since age 10. I still remember the first 5K that I signed up for. It was gut-wrenchingly awful, and I decided I wanted more, like a true nut job, right?
Yeah, like a true endurance sport crazy person.
Yeah.
Right. I think we're all very similar, something a little off, but so here we are 22 years later, and I haven't stopped. If anything, I've just tried to go more and more and faster and faster. And I ran a little bit in undergrad for a college, and then a little bit post-collegiately as like a semi-pro, and still dabble in the whole running world. And so does my wife. That's how we met. So running has just been a huge part of my existence. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
man.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Very
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
You've had beards of varying lengths.
Oh yeah.
Did the longer beards impact your running or your lifestyle at all?
Yes and no. So I think that time, it was just about time. And so, as it got longer, so I've done a year and a half, no trim, no nothing. So I did the year and then just was like, I'm just going to keep going. So I have had, something pretty long, and it just took a while. It just took a long time after showers. And truth be told, I was one of the crazies out there that did a lot of miles. So on those big mileage weeks, those like really, really big ones, I'd triple on days. So I'd have 3 showers, which is got kind of old when you are constantly trying to get your beard squared away. So I've had varying lengths from that long to what it is now, kind of this little in between, monther. So I've had pretty much every length you could have, close to,
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm curious, like, for me, like, I don't do super endurance things, but people say to me, like, at the gym, like, do you adjust your workouts and stuff? I actually don't notice it. Like, my beard, I rarely like think about or feel or anything during the day. It just becomes a part of me. But I could see it does take me a bit after the shower to get ready. I enjoy that time, but if you multiply it by ×3 every day, okay,
that's a lot.
That's a factor.
The only time it really gets in the way at the gym, I think, is like certain things you're doing on the front of your body. Like if I'm doing front squats, like my beard's kind of a pain in the butt because you got to go up to the rack, you got to like flop your beard over the bar and then get behind it, or if you're doing like any kind of Olympic lifts, like if you're doing snatches or clean and jerks or cleans, right? I've had the bar come down onto my chest on a clean and then like raised my head up and like snagged my beard under the bar. And it's another thing you'll notice too, I think, is like, once in a while I'll get bad form because I'll throw the bar out too far to avoid my beard, and then I come back, and so it's like I got to put it in a bun, or I do the lazy route and I just put my hand up through my shirt and pull it down into the shirt.
Oh, there you go.
Away you go, no beard.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, beautiful, super cool to kind of get to know Ryan here. So let's take us back to the beginning, and please don't. I think oftentimes people get on stuff and they're like, I don't want to tell a story and get too long. And people, no, like, please share it all. How did you get into growing a beard, taking care of your beard? And then I would really love to hear just your perspective on this beard industry over the last 5 years, because with me and the platform and everything that I do, it's like at this place now and everyone sees that, but there's not many people that know what the industry and this layout looked like 5 years ago, and just how much it's evolved and changed over that time. So share your personal experience with starting a beard, taking care of it, and then kind of transition into how the industry has changed.
Yeah, those are two big questions and both, big topics in our world. So I remember my first real beard. I think in high school, everyone has like that chin thing.
Yeah.
Everyone does the,
Guilty.
so I had those, of course. But my first real beard was sophomore year of college, which is going back quite a ways, 2010. And I grew it out as like a playoff beard. In running, they don't really have like the hockey thing where you grow it out and you make the postseason. So in like October, we grew it out for a month or two and just had, like a little something. And then the year after that, we decided that we were going to do a full-fledged 6 month sort of thing. Like, okay, end of track season to end of cross country season. So end of May to about, like November-ish. So a pretty good amount of time. And I grew it out. And if you made nationals, there was this thing called stashies at nashies, where you shave your beard into a mustache and you would post a picture at nationals. This is D3, D1, the whole NCAA does this. And you would get ranked on your mustache at nationals. So if you Google my name and stashies at nashies, this really gross mustache comes up as a junior in college. Maybe don't do that. But so I remember for the longest time, I grew out beards, but never used products because back then, really in 2011, 2010, I don't remember there being products. And if there were, it was more at like CVS or it was like more of a lotion than it was an oil or a balm. So anyway, fast forward a few years, in 2017, I saw, and I'm never going to disparage any company, but I just being truthful, I saw a funny commercial on YouTube. And it was a commercial for a club, a dollar beard club specifically. And it just made me laugh. And I went down the rabbit hole. So I just kind of watched a few videos and I had like a little professional kind of 1 month, 2 month, high neckline, sort of low cheek line sort of thing in 2017.
Business beard.
Yeah. If you wanted to call it that. Yeah. The trimming was not nearly as on point as it is now. I didn't have a Brio back then. Anyways, so I started with the Dollar Beard Club. That was the first time I ever bought a beard oil. And then that evolved into more serious as it got longer. And as I took a little bit more interest in, what we all take interest in caring about ourselves and caring about, what we present and wanting to look a certain way, but still have something that at that time wasn't necessarily as acceptable, particularly for teachers. I don't know if you agree with that, Dan, but in 2017, I didn't have many teachers that had facial hair.
No, for sure. I started teaching at my building, the one that I retired from last year in 2011 or 2012. Yeah, 2011, I believe. Yeah. And we had around 50 staff members, about half were males, so 25. I was the only one that had any resemblance of facial hair. Literally, like, when I first started, it was you are shaven fully. You had a button-up tucked in with a tie. And then I had a shorter beard my first couple of years, very similar to yours. I would range from there to even stubble. I hadn't shaved since I was 18, but I would go down to even stubble. And then a couple years in, so probably 2014 or 15, I started to grow it longer. And as that happened, I just kind of realized how ridiculous this was, where it's you think it makes me a better teacher to shave? You think it makes me a better teacher to wear a bow tie? You think it makes me a better teacher for all these things? And so I kind of went against the system and it's literally flip-flopped. And I think when I left, out of the 20 staff members that were male, only one continued to fully shave, and which was crazy. And so, yes, to answer your question, it was totally different back in the mid 2010s.
Yeah. So I felt that. So anyways, I kept that very high and tight type of beard for a long time, but I started to invest a little bit more. And so with that, it evolved into a few other companies that are really well known, that are a little bigger, that produce a lot of YouTube videos, and they do a great thing trying to enhance our community. Yeah. And then in 2018, I found this guy. It's my top left, your top right, or who knows where. But yeah, I found that guy, and he just preached all sorts of really cool things that just hit home. It kind of changed how I looked at my beard, but way more than that, my grooming.
Safe.
changed kind of how I looked at having facial hair. And with that, I just started trying basically anything he tried. And, not to, be too odd about it, but, I revere, both of you and then Jill in the chat. But it started with Dan, it started with, his channel and yeah, just falling in love with the specialty business. And I know a lot about that coming from running, where, a lot of people go to like Dick's or go to, a really big, kind of higher end sporting goods store. And, I'll take that running shoe. And in the running world, there are these things called running specialty stores, where it's really exclusively that. They focus on running. They are runners, and they know a lot about the specs and the intimacy that is running. And I just basically applied that same thing to beards. I wanted somebody who really knew what they were talking about and weren't mass producing anything. They were making it with their own hands. And that basically brings us up to date. Is basically everything Dan has said, this company is great. I've tried. And, no disparaging any other company, but I did a little homework for you guys. I counted, I went back way
I was
back.
just going to ask.
I did count. And this is not including Dan. If you remember, we've talked many times, but one of the times we talked, I made my own beard oil at one point. I have tried 63 companies, and that is not including samples. That does not include samples. That's an oil or a butter or a balm or a wash or a whatever.
That's something you've ordered and went through and actually, made a purchase and gave it a full on try.
I'm hoping my wife didn't hear that. But it's true, so it's one of those things that, I knew it was a higher number, and I'm sure there are people in this chat that, guys that I, have come to, know and love and chat with a lot. They've probably tried just as many. So I know that there are guys out there that are trying a lot of different products. And for me, it was a light bulb moment. I don't know if it was, I have a lot of reasons that I'd love to go into, but as soon as I tried Dr. Nick's, I knew it was different. And I've loved other companies. Hey, I don't want it to be like, oh man, he's tried 63, but the only one he's ever loved is Dr. Nick's, because that, I want to be truthful, and there are other great companies out there. And so if you are rocking those other companies, heck yeah. But there's something special about Dr. Nick's, and I can accurately attest to that, both in terms of product, but also these people, these guys that I love supporting, and Jill in the chat. So
that's
awesome. Thanks, man. That's huge.
Yeah, and I can fully resonate with what you're saying, right? I work with Dr. Nick's. I love Dr. Nick's. Yeah. That doesn't mean that there aren't other great companies out there that meet different preferences, that meet different variety needs, right? That you can mix it up and have these things. And so anytime I work with anybody, I'm clear to say that, like, and I think that I've talked about this many times, but that's the opposite of the scarcity mindset, right? That's the abundance mindset. Nick is never threatened by anybody saying, hey, this company makes great stuff. That's wonderful. We always relate to the craft beer industry.
Yeah.
If you have a great craft beer, nobody's ever like, that's the only one, everything else is garbage. You can like other craft beers too and respect both of them. And Nick is a great owner with that respect. And to be real, not every owner has that mindset. A lot of owners have the mindset of, if you like somebody else, you're putting us down. And to Nick's credit, he's never once had any inkling of that. So I know, and Nick can speak on that, but I know he takes that well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I love that, because that means that we're building a market, right? You can't run a sustainable. So I mean, like the innovation space, right? It's one of those things that I deal with all the time in the technology world. You can either choose to create a new market, or you can choose to participate in a strong market, right? And I think by having multiple players in this space, and by having multiple people that are creating really good quality products, that means you're participating in a thriving market, right? That means your vertical is growing, and that brings everyone up with it. And without a market, you really have an uphill battle in front of you selling a product into a market that is not growing or not evolving, or that is stagnant, right? It's a positive thing. It's a good thing for all of us.
Yeah, truly. So Ryan, and I know you said you want to touch on this, please do.
Yeah.
What in your experience has separated Dr. Nick's as something that you clearly are passionate about, not just with your words, not just with your posts? Because oftentimes we'll see people that support in many ways, but they don't actually support with their orders, right? It's one of those concepts of when your friend has a business and it's like people would rather go buy somewhere else and try to get stuff for free from their friend. And you are loving this, you're sharing that, and you're supporting the business at the same time. What have you noticed that is special about Dr. Nick's, whether it's the owners, whether it's the actual products, the scents? Go ahead and hit on anything you got.
Yeah. So I've got three. I've thought a lot about this. I
Perfect.
hoped that this would come up. So I kind of, did a little teacher, method where you think about your lesson plan before you actually teach it.
Yes.
So I have three reasons. I have one that's me, one that's we, and then one that's everybody. So me, Yule tree. Oh man, Yule tree. Holy cow. Dan, you've known me for a while now, and that is by and large, like the scent that I love is woodsy scent. I'm not a big cologne guy, to each their own. I'm not a big, fruity-ish guy. I don't mind. I wouldn't say I hate any scent necessarily. But woodsy. Oh my goodness. And more specifically, I'll give you a little background. One of my favorite memories of all time is living in upstate New York. And I'm talking about way, way, way upstate. We would go cut down our own Christmas tree. We would, in the back of an old school, bright orange Honda Element, great cars, by the way. We would bring a saw. We would go out into the middle of a Christmas tree farm, and we would cut down our own Christmas tree, put it on the top, and dry and decorate it. And I remember when we'd get home, this smell on your clothes and the smell in everywhere would be this sappy sort of this pine, like I pick pine needles off my shirts and my coats and stuff. And that smell is what I smell. But the place that Yule tree brings me is back home, is thinking about like my mom in the other room, like wrapping gifts or making something, or, us all sitting around a fireplace while we decorate the Christmas tree. It brings me to a place, that smell. So it's so much more than just my favorite scent, because it is, no joke, my favorite scent all time, no doubt, is Yule tree. But it brings me somewhere. It brings me somewhere really special that resonates somewhere deep inside, and it's the only thing I ever want to wear. I have 7, I have 18, I have 21, I have almost, I have IPA, all really great scents. Yule tree special. Yule tree is special. So that was me. My reason was Yule tree. I fell in love with the scent. And then head first just dove in to the community. And so that's the we part, is like everybody in the chat that I'm trying to read while also like make eye contact with you guys. I don't know how you do this every week. I'm reading awesome things, and like I want to reply, I can't. And I'm like, guys, you guys are all awesome. And that's part of it, is I've met so many cool people with this community. And that kind of brings me back. I didn't answer your other question about the evolution, Dan, of the community. Yeah. So I will hit on that at some point. But the we is the community, is we get to experience different things, have different beard lengths. I'm sitting here with kind of a month as opposed to the two beautiful beards I'm looking at right now. And yet we find this cool common ground, this cool passion of ours, and share that passion. And it creates a bond. It creates a friendship. So it's the we is the literal we, all of these incredible people that we get to meet and interact with. And that's part of the community. And then the everyone. Awesome. I think if you watch this stream, you know what I'm talking about. But in 2020, this little pandemic thing happened. We don't need to talk about it, but something happened, and I don't know, people like closed up shop and stuff. So I'm a minimalist. And so what most people think when they hear that, they think, oh, he doesn't own a lot of stuff. That's kind of true. I don't own a bunch of stuff. That's accurate. But the real purpose of minimalism is purposeful buying, purposeful purchases. And the companies that I support, I believe in fully, to the extent of I love the people. I care about what I'm purchasing and how I'm using it. And I don't make purchases off of FOMO, off of things that are outside of, I respect the heck out of Nick and Jill. And of course, I love what they stand for, what they believe in, how they operate. I I will be a forever client, even if I use other companies. I don't. But even if I use other companies, I respect the heck out of Dan, Nick, and Jill way too much not to support them. So when I buy
Thank
from them,
you.
I know that I'm supporting awesome people. So making those purchases with purpose, not just off of, oh, I want that now. It's I fully immerse myself in companies that I believe wholeheartedly in. And that's everyone who watches this channel, because they know how cool you guys are and how much, yeah, how awesome you guys are.
Oh,
So,
well, thank you so much for that, man.
yeah,
That's huge. I mean, that just means so freaking much because, you know, it's the reason why we do what we do the way we do it, right? Because just like you are fully committed to the, to the brands and companies that you choose to deal with, which obviously there's no shortage of options, is, we kind of operate under the same mentality that we are fully committed to our customers, right? And I'm very similar in that sense. Like I research the heck out of everything, and I want to feel good about making
Too much.
purchases. Yeah, way too much.
Too much.
And yeah, so and anyone who knows me, and there's some people in the chat here that can attest to my analysis paralysis that happens in that regard. But that's, since I feel the same way when I spend money. We want people to feel that way about us when they do business with us, right? We want it to be a very engaged relationship, right?
yeah,
And I think it just speaks volumes that that's the way you feel about us, and that's the way that how we attracted you, right?
yeah,
And I think it's very symbiotic because we feel the same way, right? We're very dedicated to our customers and making sure that they're happy and making sure that we're delivering what they want, what they need, and evolving to meet the demands they have now and in the future. And it's just, it's really cool to see that that's a two-way street.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome. Absolutely awesome. And then I loved your breakdown about Yule Tree. And I've always thought that smell and obviously audio hearing, but it's
Yep,
so powerful with putting you to different places, with
yep,
bringing back memories. And
yeah,
I think Yule Tree is a perfect example because on the surface, it may seem simple. It may seem like it's a pine scent. It's a
yeah.
pine tree scent, but
Mm-mm.
it is so layered. It is so complex. In the way that Dr. Nix has described it is as if you are going to a Christmas tree shop, right? I always blank out. What would be a Christmas tree farm? Let's say that you
Yeah,
go to a
yeah,
Christmas tree
yeah.
farm and you get all the smells that come with
Mm,
that experience. And that's what I truly believe it is. It's not a super crazy strong or super crazy long lasting, but it's just so pleasant, just
yeah,
so amazing.
yeah.
And how cool is it that it's done with 100% pure natural essential oils?
Everything about it's amazing. Yeah, I can't. There are zero flaws. It's incredible. I just saw somebody in the chat go, "What scent profile?" It's exactly what Dan just described. It's a yes, it is a piney sort of tree scent, but it's more. I love that on the bottle it lists, not so much, it lists something at the end that may or may not be an actual fragrance, but it
Ornaments.
feels
Ornaments, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's balsam, ornaments, and lights. Yeah.
it feels like I am literally in my childhood home decorating with these old school ornaments as a nice melody plays with a fireplace in the back. Like it feels like that, and it smells like a Christmas tree. It's awesome.
That
It's
is so cool.
such a
And
cool. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Nick, on this note, because we really take pride in this show, I came up with a term, like I said, I don't know if I invented it, but I used it for this show, long form transparency. I believe that this company, a goal of this stream is to show all thoughts, show all processes, and just kind of let everything out about what's going on. So one of the things that Dr. Nix takes pride in is not doing any kind of fear tactics, not the FOMO, fear of missing out, not any like pressure to make people make sales and that type of
Right.
stuff. So Nick, full transparency here. So Yule Tree clearly is a ragingly popular scent, ragingly
Mhm.
popular scent.
Love it.
And Ken is new to the company and is loving. He just said he has worn Dr. Nix for 6 days in a row. And this is a guy that was a very dedicated content creator, tons of products and stuff. And he's had some real great, but he's saying, I hate that I'm
Oh.
process and thought Yule Tree. Why is that one a limited seasonal rather than being a permanent when it's so popular?
Yeah, it's partially, Ken, first of all, thank you so much for that vote of confidence. I am so very happy that we won your confidence, and that you like what you're trying, first of all. And don't worry, not only will it be back on an annual basis, um, we may or may not have something up our sleeves here where you might be able to get a sneak peek before then. So not to worry. It's not gone forever, and it might not even be gone as long as we originally thought it would, just because of this feedback and because of just how the warm reception that it's got and how much people love it. And I personally love it, and I'll be honest, I'm out, so I need more.
Yeah. Yep. So that is amazing.
So not to worry, Ken.
I did see that some people said a couple glitches. Yeah, they actually sent a notification on StreamYard that YouTube is going down. I checked. Oh, let's go here. You guys still with me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so YouTube is having some, if you check down detector, they're having a few issues pop up, but hopefully it'll be minor, and I think we're hopefully good now. But yeah, that's a good explanation. And I did see, I'm not breaking any crazy news here, I did see Jill comment earlier about a couple of things, such as maybe something like Arbor Day, something like Christmas in July, a couple of things that would make a lot of sense for Yule Tree to kind of come back out again.
Yeah, I think half Christmas might make sense.
Yeah.
I think half Christmas makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, a ton.
I'm one of those weird guys that, and this is not a joke, not to fill in here, I literally listened to Christmas music like a week ago.
Oh, nice.
Like, I'm one of those guys.
Jill is like an adorable little blonde Christmas elf all year. Like she's just squirreling things away. Like the amount of bins in our basement of Christmas stuff is only overshadowed by our bins of Halloween stuff. Which good. Chris Wilson in the chat here, Chris W in the chat, he's my best friend and the best man at my wedding. And he helps out here a ton in the shop. He also is very familiar with lugging all of those bins downstairs with me every year. So if ever, by the way, you guys see Chris's name in the chat, he has very little filter. And if you don't believe something I say, or you don't think I'm being transparent enough, echo the question to Wilson, because he'll definitely answer it without me influencing it.
I've noticed the filter is thin there, and I like it. It seems like he's got good humor.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
yeah. And so Jill, I was gonna make a comment too. I know she loves Christmas, but she also loves Halloween, right?
Oh yeah, that's it, man. Those are the bins that Wilson's helping me bring down in the basement every year, between the 12-foot skeletons and the remaining 12 50-gallon bins of Halloween stuff.
Oh yeah.
It gets good.
And speaking of that, Ryan, did you see this? You got I got the wrong one here, but it was from this gentleman. Did you see his comment that he decorates?
Yes.
Was it a mesquite tree?
Mesquite tree. Yes, I did. I was gonna comment on that, but I was thinking about other things. So I have seen cactus decorated out here. Like we have the big saguaro, like the 100-year-old big long, beautiful things. I again from New York, so I did not grow up with what I'm looking at out here. However, I've seen some really cool Christmas decorations out here off of like cacti and other things like, oh, it's so cool. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And we will still talk about the industry. We got a bunch of other stuff, but I think that's a good segue. So growing up in New York, growing up in a seasonal state, having these changes, and when you were first growing your beard, you were in New York, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yep. So you've been able to experience literal vast differences of climate. You have Arizona that is very, very dry, very hot. New York, you get a little bit of everything, but you get humidity, you get winter, you get all those different things.
Yes.
What have you noticed with your beard, and what have you noticed with beard products as you changed with those climates? Because not a lot of people get to experience living in both places, which is 100%. Different than visiting.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So I think visiting everywhere, you try to pack for kind of what you're going to experience. Whenever I go back and visit family that are maybe in the Midwestern part of the U.S., and it's a little more humid, I'll bring oil, but I never feel the need for butter I feel a big need for styling. So we talked earlier a little bit off stream. about how styling and humidity is a little more difficult. Whereas,
Yeah.
out here, if I did have my kind of lengthier beard, it's really easy to, man, it's on point, So I would say that I was born and raised in New York, upstate New York, so very seasonal, mostly on the seasonal of winter rather than the summer part. But we got a little bit of everything, super inclement weather. And being a
Same.
distance runner, even more, I mean, I'm out in the elements every day. I'm a 7-day-a-week type of runner. Multiple times, as we highlighted a little bit earlier. So I would be applying these things quite frequently. So I think that in New York, I found that whenever I'd apply an oil, it would be around for a little bit longer. Whereas out here, no matter how much I could apply, way more than I necessarily need, and it's gone. I mean, just instantaneously gone. I have a few tattoos, and lotion just beyond the beard world, but lotion, I think I apply that stuff like 2 or 3 times a day.
Jeez.
And now I've been out here 5 years. So, everyone kind of says the same sort of main phrases. One, it's a dry heat. Not true. Number 2, I mean, it's literally true. It is a dry heat, but it don't feel like it.
It doesn't make it any better.
Right.
No. Yeah. You're still grinding. Opening up on Thanksgiving Day your oven, and it's about the same thing.
Whew.
And then, so 5 years, you get your blood thins a little bit. You get a little more used to it, and your skin gets used to the dryness. Mine hasn't. I still find that I need butter. It's just, I've already gone through 1 tub of Dr. Nick's, even with a shorter beard. I need butter. It's just one of those things that I think it's the only thing I couldn't live without here in the desert. Whereas in New York, I found myself maybe skipping a few nights with butter. I just don't feel, I think it's, waking up the next morning, oh, it doesn't feel dry at all. It feels good, Whereas, out here, it's just a perpetual dryness. It doesn't ever change. It doesn't fluctuate. It's just dry. So I find myself gravitating towards more of the butter usage out here than I did in New York. A little bit more, sparse usage in New York. And I've even lived a little bit in the middle of the state or in the country, excuse me. And I found a balance of both of those worlds. Like, oh, I need a little bit of butter. I need a lot more styling and kind of a mix. So I do think where we are plays a big role in how we address our beard needs. Yeah.
Big time.
Oh, it's huge.
Big time.
Yeah. And you're right, because what you said, Dan, about visiting somewhere is different than living there, and it totally is. Like, it's weird, because if I'm living in a warm, humid climate long term, my beard is used to it. Like you say, I need less product, right? You probably need more styling product, like more balm. Because it weighs down so much in the humidity. Yeah, exactly. You get the curls, and the flyaways and stuff. But what's really weird is, like, if I go somewhere from here and I go somewhere really humid, for the first few days I'm there, my beard actually, it does this weird thing where the skin gets chapped the first few days because of the climate change, going from like the dry to the humid. Like, if I go down to Puerto Rico and I'm in the salt and I get sunscreen from my face down into my beard, and then day 2, it's like, boom, under my beard, I'm red, I'm flaky, it's pissed. And then all of a sudden, after about a week, it adjusts and it starts feeling better. So it's like, what I need to do when I go somewhere for a week is different than when I go there for like a month.
For sure.
It is weird how it acclimates.
So true.
I agree, Steve.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we were saying earlier. Like, you can say all those things you want to make yourself feel better. It's still hot as all can be.
Yeah.
Brutal.
And if you saw me on my phone, I got a new video topic, so look out for that in a month or two. Love that.
Yeah.
And speaking of valuable contributions, I'm gonna give you a story, Ren, that I don't even know if you remember, and if you do, you'll be like, "Dang, I can't believe Dan remembers that." But it'll also lead into a question. Ryan provided me with a study that was from his running side of his world that changed my outlook on a very fundamental aspect of beard health. Exactly. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. And this is literally 4 years ago. 4 years ago, probably close to 5 years ago. He sent me a study on consuming water, which you guys know I think is unbelievably important. I think it's the most important aspect of beard care, right up there with stress, if we want to talk about keeping your beard healthy, looking good, feeling good. And I always knew the general rules, right? I think a good solid rule for most people, and you have to check your own variables, is take your body weight, take that number in half and drink that many ounces. So for me, if anybody's around 220, 230, a gallon's a good number to shoot for. If you're up to 250, a good number to shoot for. And I was like, okay. And I would probably kind of like not do the greatest during the day, but I'm a very disciplined person. So I'm like, I'm not going to bed without drinking a gallon. So I would chug the gallon, whatever I had left before bed. And I was a teacher, so my body got used to not peeing. And so I was good. I was fine. It wasn't an issue. And Ryan sent me a study because it's super important to look in the right places for this information. Why would different groups, why would different scientists, why would, more importantly, different funding be looking at things? And the ultra endurance athletes getting hydration is unbelievably important. And there's a lot of money involved, so that makes sense that funding would go to some research there. And he sent me some research that essentially said, like, the amount of water is cool, but what's far more important is how you're consuming that water, when you're consuming that water. And essentially, to summarize, the best way to consume water is in small amounts all throughout the day, not ever chugging or doing large amounts. And even a step further is to consume it with some kind of glucose or some kind of food, even if it's just simply eating a cracker or a cucumber or even a little candy, something like that. That is going to be like the vehicle that delivers the hydration to your body. And so from that day forward, like 4 years ago, I'm like, oh, I'm just literally, if you guys see me drinking, that's just my normal daily routine. I'm just constantly drinking little bits. If I have food, if I have snacks, I'm always drinking water. My kids know you don't get food without having your water. And it's not because I'm worried about safety or anything. It's they need to properly get that hydration. So with that, and you can share if you remember that, which I think you did, have you noticed the difference with your hydration in this extremely dry climate as compared to like a more seasonal climate like I live in?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you remember that. That was a fun topic to chat with you about, because I know how serious you take hydration, and you know how serious as a distance runner you kind of have to take hydration. I think there was an old article about me when I was in undergrad that I was compared to Paul Bunyan one year when I did grow it out in undergrad, and they were like, instead of an axe, he carries a water bottle. And that was because everywhere I went, I just would always have water. And, you know, now in home, I have my beautiful glass. Yeah. Everyone wants to know the secret sauce of hydration, or the secret to good marathoning, as you have to take in some sort of liquid throughout the marathon, the beautiful 26.2 mile, lovely race, if you want to call it that. It's more of a survival mode, but it's consistency. It's not about the overall, it's just about always, you know, every couple minutes, every, 10, 12, just taking a sip. And that's so much more important. But to answer your question, I've noticed. Oh yeah, I've noticed quite a bit. So I've had to up my total ounces. I've had to up kind of my general hydration status, but even more so, I found that on days where I'm maybe going a little bit longer, on my long run days, or maybe on my, days where I double or whatever, I have to up it quite a bit. I just find myself just always, just shriveling up a little bit. And so I'm constantly doing all sorts of different things to increase my, like you said, glucose, but also just the amount of hydration had to increase. Without humidity, everything just had to just kind of stack up a little bit. So
it's so interesting, and it's so different. Like, you can plop me in the heart of a Michigan summer, and like I'm hot and stuff, but it's nothing like most days in Arizona. It's such a different world.
It is.
Do you do anything with BCAAs or EAAs to like help with the absorption of water, like the retention of any water or anything? Is that something you do as part of like doing the distance stuff? I know I do it for the gym. I'll usually do like a pre-workout. I don't do any of the energy boosting stuff for pre-workouts because I can't stand that stuff. It gives me jitters and I don't like it. Yeah. But I do love my, blue raspberry bricks, to be able to do like some good EAAs and BCAAs. Do you use any of that stuff?
I don't know. I come from kind of that background of when we were running, the energy drinks weren't like a huge thing back in like the early 2000s. Like when I was really into the sport, a lot of those things didn't exist. Like I still remember the first time I heard of like 5 Hour Energy and runners like right on the line, just slamming one and then like going out like, oh, what is happening? Wild. What is going on? So honestly, I've stayed as I know this is old school, so I know that if a distance runner is in here who's serious about the sport, you might not agree with me, but I'm one of those like old school guys that I don't even do really Gatorade a ton anymore. Like I'm a pretty simple. There's a lot of really cool different types of like Noon. I'll give you an example. Noon, Nuun, is a type of tablet that you can dissolve in water that has a lot of really cool vitamins, all natural, like totally, no synthetic. It's just the cool Dr. Nick's of the running hydration world, basically.
Nice.
And so I do a lot of those type of things, just old school, just hydrate, make sure you're taking in good nutrition with it so that it has, like Dan elegantly said, kind of a vehicle, right? Exactly. But all that other stuff, I tend to stay away from. But I'm not in the gym. It is a different world. There are some different muscle groups going on there and some different outputs that you'd need to focus a little bit of hydration and nutrition on different avenues. So
yeah, no, for sure. It's like, and when you drink a lot of water, your body processes it so fast. That's something that's really interesting too. It's like the more you drink, the quicker it moves through your system. So if you're doing that, and then you want maybe your muscles or your joints to have a little extra moisture and lubrication that day, it's like you almost need something that makes you retain a little bit of that water, or else you're just going to be going through it,
And even with that, Dan highlighted that, that chugging aspect of water, especially like late at night. Jill, I'm going to get to your question, I swear. If you're consistent with hydration, you shouldn't always be peeing clear, not to be, PG here, but
correct.
It should always be semi-clear. But I love those that hydrate and they slam or they drink a ton really quickly in a row. And then all of a sudden, like the next couple of like hours, they're just peeing clear. And then it stops. And then it's like, you want it to be consistent and always kind of the same color. And that way, again, your body's just running like this.
Right. You don't have the peaks and valleys, and you're not getting like those weird hunting moments and like the weird over-absorbed moments and things like that. Yeah.
It's just consistency and feeling good like 24/7. That's
I hate that phrase because there's so much with your vitamins. Like I take a B complex and my pee is like bright green sometimes because of the vitamin, like literally. And it has to do with your diet. There's so much to that. And that's, it's like the two that I hate is one, when people say, you're dehydrated unless your pee is clear. That's not true. Then the other one is, no, you're only dehydrated when you're thirsty. Your body will tell you what you need. No, not true. I can give you lots of examples where your body doesn't tell you what you need. Like we're not to go into those. So it's thank you for bringing that one up. But yes, and Jill has a great question. I'm curious because I bought a running shoe for the gym and for pickleball. It seemed like a good middle ground. So I'm curious to hear yours.
So there's, I could go on for days. So my first job ever, I was 12 years old and I was a janitor at my high school. That was my first job ever. Wow. My dad was the principal at the time. So he was like, hey, just, come on in, just sweep up some things, gum, the normal, stuff. And that was during summer. But shortly thereafter, a few years after, I got a job working at a running specialty shop. And I did that for a long, long time. So Jill, I'm going to answer as best I can, but you might get a little political answer here to try to stay in the middle ground. It's really depending on what you're doing, right? Like for me, a marathoner, like my goal is just to kind of go straight forward. But like Dan, for example, if he's playing pickleball and he's doing a lot of that side to side movement, the overlays in a running shoe are really built for one thing going forward. They're not built to sustain that side to side. So I think that, where people get a little tripped up is, they call them a tennis shoe, like a running shoe, a tennis shoe, and they use it for a lot of different things. And then sometimes they'll use running shoes in the gym, and then they'll use running shoes like at a kickboxing class or something cool like that. And the reality is those are a lot of different types of movement, and running shoes are built for straightforward, go baby, go, right? So my favorite, and it goes back to supporting Dr. Nick's, I care a great deal about supporting good companies that care about their product, that care about their employees and things like that. So there are a couple of really great brands out in the running world. So Brooks are always a good bet. It's a great company. They care a lot. They're an awesome shoe. There you go. Yeah, Evan. Saucony, which is always pronounced somewhat differently in different parts of the world. A Boston-based company, by the way. Hoo-ha. So Saucony or Saucony or however you pronounce that. That's a great company. They do a lot of really cool things. And the company that I personally use is New Balance. I just believe in their messaging. I really love what they do, and they make
another Boston-based company.
Heck yeah. And they base a lot of what they do based on what sport they're trying, so they make basketball shoes. They make, they make a lot of different things, but their running shoes are fantastic. I see some Hoka's in here. Brooks. Let's check out what else.
Zuno.
Yep. So a lot of really good. I haven't seen any really poor company choices. I think it's sitting down with somebody and going over the basis of what your foot looks like. What are you using your body for? Like, what are your modes of exercise and how that shoe can work for you. So that's my best advice is to go to a run specialty shop if that's what you're focused on is running, and they'll fit you up nice and they'll get you something that's really cool.
Yeah.
Unless you're like me, you go to the running store and they're like, how about you don't run? You got flat feet, you pronate when you run, you can sprint really well. Why don't you stick to that and then ride your mountain bike? And we got some great shoes for that for you. Yeah.
That's
honesty, right? I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to a local family owned, they had one location. Now they have two, which is really cool. It's called Runner's World here. Okay. And I don't know if they're good or bad, but I really, really like them. And they've almost become cliche because they're so popular. But it has the Q logo. Sound, is it Cloud Form?
That's on running.
Okay.
Running.
That's what I have.
Yes. So On Clouds is the
On
running.
Clouds. Yeah.
I have a dear friend and a former teammate who is a tech rep for them. Basically goes around to region and works with people like that running shoe store to explain what their specs are, what their shoes are used for. They are very popular right now.
Yeah, super popular.
Yes. Yeah.
And I knew or the way I discovered is when we did like a Disney vacation last year. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows there's a ton of walking at the Disney parks, and everybody had them on. And I liked the way they looked, and so I went to a running store because part of it why I went there is because they could give me information, and I explained because even that brand has the different levels of cushion, the different levels of support and arch, and you name it, right? Yeah. And so they were able to help me out. And I think here's a good question by Kevin B. What do you think of a barefoot or low profile? Because I think Jill even said she likes a flat, like a barefoot type one. What's your thoughts on those?
I use barefoots as well.
Yeah. So I think, again, it goes back to a lot of what you're doing. If you're in the gym, Vivo barefoot, minimalist style is awesome.
Yeah.
It's like perfect. It's like what it is for, right?
Literally perfect.
Yes. So I think, Kevin, the reality is if you're racing a 5K, so for example, maybe, if you're racing cross country or track or whatever, minimalist usually works, right? You're going for a short distance. Your purpose is speed, and fast is a relative term. I've told that to everybody I talk to. And so I think that works. If you're doing stuff like marathoning, there was this old book. It's a great book. So if anybody does or has read this, it's worth a read. It's called Born to Run. And it's the writer of the book wrote about a tribe, an ancient tribe that runs in sandals. And they run in sandals very long distances. And from that book sold a lot of Vivo barefoot. And with that, there was a lot of lawsuits happening because people got injured. And the difference here is really simple. Depending on what you're running on, the surface of which you're running on, the length of which you're running, and the overall complexity of your body, Vivo barefoot's not for everybody. It's for some, for sure. Just like Hoka, the opposite, the maximalist shoe, is for some people too. It's so totally dependent on what you're doing and how your body moves mechanically, right? I have a very unmechanical form, despite, some calling my times and my speed fast. Like I was very uneconomical. Like my body did not want to move the way I was moving it. So barefoot never worked for me, but it definitely works for some. So I know, again, that's kind of middle of the road sort, but it's so totally dependent. But in the gym, I would recommend those tenfold because they're great. They're exactly perfect for it.
Yeah. It's so the way your body moves is such a huge component to that because like I say, I'm not built for distance running, but I do lots of hiking, and I grew up doing lots of hiking in Hawaii. And in Hawaii, I grew up hiking barefoot. And I was hiking with a bunch of local kids, and that's the way you did it. You took your you took your slippers off and you got on the trail, and they were there when you got back waiting for you on the rocks. And, and then I transitioned and I went and did a bunch of hiking afterwards, like in Colorado and up here in the Northeast and up in New Hampshire and Maine. And I noticed it was like, I thought I was just getting older. I was out of shape because I'd get worn out and my calves would just be smoked and my shins would get splints in them and I'd be dying. And then I go back with Jill to Kauai and my roots kick in and I kick my shoes off and I can go hike for miles all day and like no fatigue at all in my legs. And I'm like, okay, so this is just the way I move doesn't lend itself well to having a drop in my soul or anything else. Right. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And Ryan G Squared said,
man.
Ryan, you said you're a special education teacher. My daughter is disabled and people like you are really helping. So thank you.
Oh man, that's why we do it. I have an autistic sister at home and I'm a teacher because of my dad. He was a teacher and principal, but why I do it is because my sister is the best human on earth. And I wanted to make her proud. And so thank you for comments like that. It drives us teachers. It's awesome. I love what I do. So thank you for saying that. That made my day.
That's awesome. Yeah. And G Squared is a big advocate for Rare Disease Day and has a lot that he does to raise money and stuff. So really awesome stuff. Yeah.
Incredible.
I love that.
That's so cool.
So to kind of leave, because again, believe it or not, that's how crazy this is. There's less than 5 minutes left. I know. It's nuts.
Crazy how that happens.
I think a good kind of ending message for you is if you could go back and touch on how the industry has changed over the last 5 years with your observations and experiences, and then just some final words about your experiences at where you're at now with Dr. Nix, right? That's the literal transition of this changing, and this is the company that you are pretty not exclusively, but right now only using. So lead us there, and then just kind of give us some final words, and that should be about perfect.
For sure. Heck yeah. Well, again, I want to say how much I appreciate you both. This is awesome.
We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for, we changed the date a little bit because, I had a bunch of appointments today. So I was like, this is a perfect day to line everything up. So thanks for that. I love Dr. Nix. Dan, you are the man. Jill, you're awesome. Like this is such a cool experience. So thank you. If I missed that, because I want to answer.
No, absolutely.
So when I first began growing a beard, and again, anyone who grew it out early 2000s to mid 2000s to right now, you've seen a progression and it's an upward trend, right? But I use that word very purposely here and very unpurposely. Trend is, Jill, my goodness. Purposely use the word trend. It's not a trend. Beards have been around for a very long time and they're not going anywhere. So I think that there is this place where people are, thinking this is saturated, thinking that this thing is overgrown like a vine on the side of a beautiful brick home. No. We're just beginning. This is just the start. You're looking at the tip of the iceberg and the whole beautiful baby is down here. You wait till 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And I can't wait to see where it goes. Because we're at such an incredibly exciting time with people like Dan and people like Nick and Jill making this community that much cooler, stronger, fun, and exciting. I can't wait to see where it goes. But where it was, it was hard to find products and it was hard to find people that, were really outward about, why they're doing this and how incredible it is to use good products. And beyond the beard, it's not just this, it's taking care of your whole self. I do it because I'm a runner, but I also do it because it's taking care of my beard. I take care of my beard because I take care of my appearance. I take care of my appearance because I care about myself. And like this community, the people in this chat, Kevin B and all these, Krista, like all these incredible people are brought to this place because of these things. I wish I had something bigger to grab, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So
this is what we call thread depth, ladies and gentlemen, and how it's very important.
Yeah. To sum it all up, I just love where the community is at right now. And it's such and Dan, I don't get this very often, and Nick and Jill, I don't get this very often, obviously. So I wanted to say, you guys are such big parts of it, huge driving forces in where this community has gone and where it's going to go. And I think I speak for everybody in this chat, everybody who's a fan. Thank you guys. But, all three of you, thank you, because it gives us a place to share our love and our support for one another. And it's amazing.
That's just so huge, man. We're glad to be here, and we're glad that our presence here is being perceived that way. I mean, that's why we're here. It's why we do what we do. It's why we push ourselves the way that we do, is to make sure that we're a part of the community in that exact way. So, I mean, it's just, thank you. I mean, thank you guys like always, and thank everybody here. But I mean, it's just stuff like this, Ryan. I mean, it's 1,000% why we do what we do. So it's so encouraging to hear that it's received that way.
Oh, well, yeah, it's appreciated more than you guys know. So I'm grateful that I got to come on and say something.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Thank you. And we definitely would love to have you back in the future, and maybe like a Yule Tree launch stream or something like that. It seems fitting.
That would be delightful.
Yep. I like the sound of that.
For sure. Well, thank you guys as always. If anybody forgot on their way in to hit that thumbs up, if you guys could on your way out, it's absolutely free and supports this community that Dr. Nix is building here with this young, growing YouTube channel, but really a stream just to kind of show you guys what this company is all about. Next week, we will be here. I will be mobile in Texas on our little family trip and vacation, but I'll be on. We'll be going over some really cool information for you guys, and we're excited for that. Nick, you know the deal. Go ahead and take them away.
Oh, man. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Ryan. I mean, thanks, everybody here. It's just seeing this audience grow and seeing the new people that are here and seeing the same familiar names that we see every week. It's just, the support's tremendous. And, keep the, he is a good dude. We've gone back and forth with them a bunch. I can safely attest to Ryan being an absolutely super solid dude. And so we just, we can't thank you enough, right? We wouldn't be here without support like this. And just other people that are either new to us or people that are here that helps validate, hearing your experience is going to help other people discover what you've discovered, which is, I think, is what we've defined as kind of the Dr. Nix difference, right? Between the products, the customer service, the community that we're building, and just the way that we like to do what we do. The more people that get to experience it, the better. And I think this really, really, really helps. So, just thank you guys. Thank everyone for being here. And we're excited to see you next week.
Absolutely. All right, guys.